How do you stay out of the spam folder? That's episode 68.
Welcome to the Everything Email Podcast with Ken Countess. Ken is a world-renowned email marketing expert. He'll help you 10x your business with email strategies that generate more sales. And now, here's Ken Countess.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Everything Email Podcast. I'm Ken Countess. This is episode 68. We're going to talk about how you stay out of the spam folder. You know, the fact is, no matter how many emails you send out, you really have no idea if you're winding up in the spam folder or in somebody's inbox. So that's what I'm going to cover over the next few minutes. We're going to cover these items. What a sender reputation is. That is really important when it comes to whether you show up in the spam folder or not. How your sender reputation can help you or hurt you. How do you avoid the junk or spam folder? How do you increase engagement? All of this so you can make more money. All right, let's start with your sender reputation. Oh, by the way, if you haven't already joined my mailing list, go to my website, kenisemail.com, and go to the Join Our List button at the top of the page. Okay? All right, let's talk about your sender reputation. First and foremost, this is how email service providers judge your email, and they can determine whether your messages are ever going to be seen. So the question is, are your messages going to the inbox or are they going to the junk folder? Well, if your emails are generating a lot of spam complaints, your sender reputation will deteriorate and future messages will be harder to get to the inbox. On the other hand, if recipients are engaged with your messages, your sender reputation will be stronger and your messages will be much more likely to make it to the inbox. So what exactly is sender reputation anyway? Well, sender reputation is a score that's assigned to the sender. That's based on the quality of email messages, how often you send, what the size of the campaign is, and the recipient's interactions with those emails. Do they open and click, for example? Now, a sender reputation is a score that the internet service provider assigns to a company or organization that sends email. And it's a critical component of your email deliverability. The higher the score, the more likely the ISP will deliver emails to the inbox rather than the spam, social, or junk folder. If the score falls below a certain threshold, the ISP may send messages to the spam folder or even reject them outright, and you won't even know that's going on if you're the sender. So you're probably thinking, well, how do I get around this? Well, several factors can go into determining the score, including, but not necessarily limited to, the amount of email that you're sending out, how many recipients are marking the emails as spam or otherwise complain to the ISP about the messages, and how often the organization's emails hit the ISP's spam trap. Also, it has to do with the organization's inclusion on different blacklists. Do you know if you're even on any blacklists? And then how many of the organization's emails bounce because they were sent to unknown users or for other reasons? How often do you check your analytics? If you're sending to unknown users, people with a non-existent email address, you are hurting your sender reputation, and that is going to affect whether you wind up in the spam folder or not. Other factors include how many recipients open, reply to, forward, or delete the organization's messages, as well as click the links that are found in them. How many recipients unsubscribe from an email list? And by the way, all of this is a relatively new science. So what does sender reputation really look like in an inbox? Well, if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, you're seeing a slide right now that shows 3 different email service providers and the way their emails Same email sent out through 3 different providers, and the results were very different. So it really has to do with what you're doing in order to help your sender reputation. What will hurt your sender reputation? Well, some of the elements that hurt deliverability include bounce rate, a low open rate, high unsubscribe rates, low click-through rates, and spam complaints. But engagement is the most important factor because it directly impacts sender reputation, both for the marketer and the email service provider. And that's why email service providers don't want you buying lists. So one thing that will hurt your sender reputation is using a single opt-in. You generally, while it'll give you a smaller list, you want people to confirm that they've opted in. If you send without custom authentication, that's going to hurt your sender reputation. If you send from a free domain email address, and by that I mean if your business email address ends in gmail.com, yahoo.com, AOL.com, that's going to hurt your sender reputation because it doesn't look like you're a real business. If you make it difficult to unsubscribe, or you use URL shorteners like bit.ly links, for instance. Bit.ly links are bad in an email because the internet service provider, when it's scanning to see the content coming through its servers, it doesn't know where that bit.ly link is going. So there's a higher probability that you'll wind up in the spam folder. Lack of engagement is going to hurt you big time too. If nobody opens and nobody clicks on your emails, that's hurting your sender reputation. So you want to be sure you're providing high quality content. So as a quick recap, what will boost your sender reputation? Give your audience a reason to engage. Give them a reason to open and click. Make sure that you're removing bad email addresses from your list. Don't be afraid to remove the unengaged recipients. They're not opening your stuff. Train your audience. Tell them that you want them to click on something or forward your email to somebody else. Don't use a free email domain for your business. Don't do it. Make sure you have your email address authenticated. Be sure you avoid using URL shorteners and use a correct text-to-image balance. You should have about 80% of that email being text, 20% be an image. You can get up to about a 40% image exposure, by the way, but a minimum of 60% of the area in your email should be text. Use 3 images or fewer and make sure those images are not touching each other. If they do, then the internet service provider thinks it's one big image, and that will hurt you. Keep your text to a minimum of 400 characters. Be sure you're not using spammy language. And then use what the ISPs and ESPs use. Use artificial intelligence. Hey, what if you could create great marketing copy effortlessly? What if you could create great subject lines, generate Facebook and Google ads, write blog posts, write creative stories? What if you could write cold emails that actually work and get responses and more that keep you out of the spam folder? Well, you can. It's easier than you think. I love to use Constant Contact's ChatGPT feature as well as Jasper. Go to jaspertrial.net. jaspertrial.net. Or you can call or text me. There's the number that you'll find on my podcast and on my YouTube channel and on the slide if you're watching on YouTube. Or send me an email. ken@kenisemail.com. Hey, that's it for this week. Thanks for listening or watching or both. And be sure that you connect with me online. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to your podcast channel. Wherever you're finding this podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, wherever it might be. Hey, thanks for listening this time around. If you're interested in working with me, go to kenisemail.com/packages. kenisemail.com/packages. And don't forget to join my mailing list if you're not already on it. Go on my website, kenisemail.com, kenisemail.com, and go ahead and join my list there. Hey, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Everything Email Podcast with Ken Countess. If you like the podcast, tell your friends and coworkers about it. Be sure to visit kenisemail.com to sign up for Ken's mailing list. You'll get great marketing tips every week in your inbox. Have questions? Send Ken an email. It's ken@kenisemail.com. See you next time.